Day 49, Egypt and Exodus, Exodus 35 through 36, Leviticus 25, Psalm 80. Let's begin. Exodus 35:36. Therefore, when all the multitude of the sons of Israel had gathered together, he said to them, These are the things that the Lord has ordered to be done. For 6 days you shall do work, the seventh day, the Sabbath and the rest of the Lord, will be holy to you. Whoever will have done any work in it shall be killed. You shall not kindle a fire in any of your dwelling places throughout the day of the Sabbath. And Moses said to the entire crowd of the sons of Israel, This is the word which the Lord has instructed, saying, Separate from among you the firstfruits to the Lord. Let all who are willing and have a ready soul offer these to the Lord, gold, and silver, and brass, hyacinth, and purple, and twice-dyed scarlet, and fine linen, the hair of goats, and the skins of rams, dyed red, and violet skins set in wood, and oil to prepare lights and to produce ointment, and most sweet incense, onyx stones and gems, to adorn the ephod and the breastplate. And whoever among you is wise, let him come and make what the Lord has commanded. The tabernacle, certainly, and its roof, and also the covering, the rings, and the panels with the bars, the tent pegs and the bases, the ark and its bars, the propitiatory, and the veil that is drawn before it, the table with its bars and vessels, and the bread of the presence, the lampstand to hold up the lights, its vessels and lamps, and the oil to nourish the fire, the altar of incense and its bars, and the oil of unction, and the incense of aromatics, the tent at the door of the tabernacle, the altar of holocaust and its grate of brass, with the bars and vessels, the washtub and its base, the curtains of the atrium, with the columns and the bases, the hanging at the doors of the vestibule, the tent pegs of the tabernacle and the atrium, with their little cords, the vestments, which are to be used in the ministry of the sanctuary, the vestments of Aaron, the high priest, as well as those of his sons, in order to exercise the priesthood to me. And all the multitude of the sons of Israel, departing from the sight of Moses, offered the firstfruits to the Lord with a most ready and devout mind, to accomplish the work of the tabernacle of the testimony, whatever was needed for worship and for the holy vestments. Men along with women provided armbands and earrings, rings and bracelets, and every vessel of gold was separated, to be donated to the Lord. If anyone had hyacinth, and purple, and twice-dyed scarlet, fine linen and the hair of goats, the skins of rams, dyed red, and violet skins, metal of silver and brass, they offered it to the Lord, along with sedum wood for various uses. But the skillful women also gave whatever they had spun, hyacinth, purple, and vermilion, as well as fine linen, and the hair of goats, donating everything of their own accord. Yet truly, the leaders offered onyx stones and gems for the ephod and the breastplate, and aromatics and oil, to maintain the lights, and to prepare ointment, and also to produce incense with a most sweet odor. All the men and women offered donations with a devout mind, so that the works might be done which the Lord had ordered by the hand of Moses. All the sons of Israel dedicated voluntary offerings to the Lord. And Moses said to the sons of Israel, Behold, the Lord has called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, from the tribe of Judah. And he has filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, and understanding, and knowledge, and all teaching, to design and to fashion, with gold and silver and brass, and with engraving stones, and with the skill of a carpenter, whatever can be skillfully invented, he has given to his heart. It is likewise with Oholiab, the son of Ahisamach from the tribe of Dan. He has taught both of them wisdom, in order to do the work of carpentry, tapestry, and embroidery, from hyacinth, and purple, and twice-dyed scarlet, and fine linen, and every textile, and to discover whatever may be new. Therefore, Bezalel, and Oholiab, and every wise man, to whom the Lord gave wisdom and intelligence, so as to know how to work skillfully, made that which was necessary for the uses of the sanctuary and which the Lord had instructed. And when Moses had called them and every man of learning, to whom the Lord had given wisdom, and who, of their own accord, had offered themselves in order to accomplish this work. He handed over to them all the donations of the sons of Israel. And while they were pursuing this work, the people offered what they had vowed each day, in the morning. The artisans were compelled by this to Moses and to say, "The people offer more than is needed." Therefore, Moses ordered this to be recited, with a voice of proclamation, "Let neither man nor woman offer anything further for the work of the sanctuary." And so they ceased from offering gifts, because what was offered was sufficient, and was more than in abundance. And all those who were wise of heart, in order to accomplish the work of the tabernacle, made 10 curtains of fine twisted linen, and hyacinth, and purple, and twice-dyed scarlet, with diverse workmanship by the art of embroidery. Each of these was 28 cubits in length, and in width 4. All the curtains were of one measure. And he joined 5 curtains to one another, and the other 5 he coupled to one another. He also made loops of hyacinth along the edge of one curtain on both sides, and similarly along the edge of the other curtain, so that the loops might meet against one another and might be joined together. For these he also cast 50 gold rings, which would retain the loops of the curtains, and so make the tabernacle one. He also made 11 canopies from the hair of goats, in order to cover the roof of the tabernacle. One canopy held in length 30 cubits, and in width 4 cubits. All the canopies were of one measure. 5 of these he joined by themselves, and the other 6 separately. And he made 50 loops along the edge of one canopy, and 50 along the edge of the other canopy, so that they might be joined to one another. And 50 buckles of brass, with which the roof might be woven together, so that from all the canopies there would be made one covering. He also made a covering for the tabernacle from the skins of rams, dyed red, and another cover above it, from violet skins. He also made the standing panels of the tabernacle, from sedum wood. 10 cubits was the length of one panel, and 1½ cubits comprised the width. There were 2 dovetails along every panel, so that one might be joined to the other. Thus did he make all the panels of the tabernacle. Of these, 20 were toward the meridian area, opposite the south, with 40 bases of silver. 2 bases were set under one panel at each of 2 sides at the corners, where the joints of the sides terminate in corners. Likewise, at that side of the tabernacle which looks toward the north, he made 20 panels, with 40 bases of silver, 2 bases for each board. Yet truly, opposite the west, that is, toward that part of the tabernacle which looks out toward the sea, he made 6 panels, and 2 others at each corner of the tabernacle at the back, which were joined from bottom to top and held together by one joint. So did he make both corners on that side. So then, there were altogether 8 panels, and they had 16 bases of silver, with, of course, 2 bases under each panel. He also made bars from sedum wood, 5 to hold together the panels at one side of the tabernacle, and 5 others to fit together the panels of the other side, and in addition to these, 5 other bars toward the western area of the tabernacle, opposite the sea. He also made another bar, which came through the middle of the panels from corner to corner. But the panels themselves he overlaid with gold, casting silver bases for them. And he made their rings from gold, through which the bars might be able to be drawn. And he covered the bars themselves with layers of gold. He also made a veil from hyacinth, and purple, from vermilion, as well as fine twisted linen, with varied and distinctive embroidery. And 4 columns of sedum wood, which, along with their heads, he overlaid with gold, casting silver bases for them. He also made a tent at the entrance of the tabernacle from hyacinth, purple, vermilion, and fine twisted linen, wrought with embroidery. And 5 columns with their heads, which he covered with gold, and he cast their bases from brass. Leviticus 25. And the Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel, and you shall say to them, When you will have entered into the land which I will give to you, rest on the Sabbath of the Lord. For 6 years you shall sow your field, and for 6 years you shall care for your vineyard, and you shall gather its fruits. But in the 7th year, there shall be a Sabbath of the land, a resting of the Lord. You shall not sow your field, and you shall not care for your vineyard. What the soil shall spontaneously produce, you shall not harvest. And you shall not gather the grapes of the firstfruits as a crop. For it is a year of rest for the land. But these shall be yours for food, for you and for your men and women servants, and for your hired hands, and for the newcomers who sojourn with you. All that grows on its own shall provide food for your beasts and cattle. You shall also number for yourselves 7 weeks of years, that is, 7 times 7, which together makes 49 years. And you shall sound the trumpet in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, at the time of the atonement, throughout all your land. And you shall sanctify the 50th year, and you shall proclaim a remission for all the inhabitants of your land, for the same is the Jubilee. A man shall return to his possession, and each one shall go back to his original family. For it is the Jubilee and the 50th year. You shall not sow, and you shall not reap what grows in the field of its own accord, and you shall not gather the first fruits of the crop, due to the sanctification of the Jubilee. But you shall eat them as they present themselves. In the year of the Jubilee, all shall return to their possessions. When you will sell anything to your fellow citizen, or buy anything from him, do not cause your brother grief, but buy from him according to the number of years from the Jubilee. And he shall sell to you according to the computation of the produce. The more years that will remain after the Jubilee, the more the price shall increase, and the less the time is numbered, so much less shall the purchase price be. For he will sell to you the time for the produce. Do not be willing to afflict your countrymen, but let each one fear his God. For I am the Lord your God. Accomplish my precepts, and observe my judgments, and complete them, so that you may be able to live in the land without any fear. And so that the soil may produce its fruits for you, from which you may eat, even to fullness, dreading violence by no one. But if you will say, what shall we eat in the 7th year, if we do not sow and do not gather our produce? I will give my blessing to you in the 6th year, and it shall yield the produce of 3 years. And in the 8th year you shall sow, but you shall eat from the old produce, until the 9th year, until what is new matures, you shall eat what is old. Also, the land shall not be sold in perpetuity, for it is mine, and you are newcomers and settlers to me. Therefore, every region of your possession shall be sold under the condition of redemption. If your brother, being in need, will have sold his little possession and his close relative is willing, he is able to redeem what he had sold. But if he has no near relative, and he himself is able to find the price to redeem it, the produce shall be calculated from that time when he sold it. And what is lacking, he shall repay to the buyer, and so he shall receive his possession. But if his hand will not have discovered a way to repay the price, the buyer shall have what he bought, until the year of the Jubilee. For in that year all that has been sold shall return to the owner, and to the original possessor. Whoever will have sold a house within the walls of a city shall have the freedom to redeem it, until 1 year has been completed. If he has not redeemed it, and the year will have turned full circle, the buyer and his posterity shall possess it, in perpetuity, and it is not able to be redeemed, even in the Jubilee. But if the house is in a village, which has no walls, it shall be sold by the law of the fields. If it has not been redeemed beforehand, then in the Jubilee it shall return to the owner. The buildings of the Levites, which are in the cities, are always able to be redeemed. If they have not been redeemed, then in the Jubilee they shall return to the owners, for the houses of the cities of the Levites are for their possession among the sons of Israel. But let not their suburbs be sold, for it is an everlasting possession. If your brother has become impoverished, or infirm of hand, and you take him in, like a newcomer or a sojourner, and he lives with you, do not accept usury from him, nor anything more than what you gave. Fear your God, so that your brother may be able to live with you. You shall not give him your money by usury, nor exact from him an overabundance of produce. I am the Lord your God, who led you away from the land of Egypt, so that I might give to you the land of Canaan, and so that I may be your God. If your brother, having been compelled by poverty, will have sold himself to you, you shall not oppress him with the servitude of indentured servants. But he shall be like a hired hand or a settler, he shall work with you, until the year of the Jubilee. And after that he shall depart with his children, and he shall return to his kindred, to the possession of his fathers. For these are my servants, and I led them away from the land of Egypt. Let them not be sold into the condition of servitude. Do not afflict him by power, but be fearful of your God. Let your male and female servants be from the nations which are all around you, and from the newcomers who sojourn with you, or who have been born from them in your land. These you shall have as servants. And by the right of inheritance you shall transmit them to your posterity, and you shall possess them forever. But do not oppress your brothers, the sons of Israel, by power. If the hand of a newcomer or a sojourner will have grown strong among you, and your brother, having become impoverished, will have sold himself to him, or to any of his stock, after the sale, he is able to be redeemed. Whoever is willing among his brothers shall redeem him. Either the paternal uncle, or the paternal uncle's son, or his close relative, by blood or by affinity. But if he himself will be able also, he shall redeem himself. Considering only the years from the time of his selling until the year of the Jubilee, and calculating the money for which he was sold, according to the number of years and the accounting of a hired hand. If there will have been many years which remain until the Jubilee, according to these shall he also repay the price. If few, he shall determine the accounting with him according to the number of years, and he shall repay to the buyer by what is left remaining of the years, his wages being charged by what served before. He shall not afflict him violently in your sight. But if, by these means, he will not be able to be redeemed, then in the year of the Jubilee he shall depart with his children. For they are my servants, the sons of Israel, whom I led away from the land of Egypt. Psalm 80. Unto the end. For the wine and oil presses. A psalm of Asaph himself. Exult before God our helper. Sing joyfully to the God of Jacob. Take up a psalm, and bring forth the timbrel, a pleasing psalter with stringed instruments. Sound the trumpet at the new moon, on the noteworthy day of your solemnity. For it is a precept in Israel and a judgment for the God of Jacob. He set it as a testimony with Joseph, when he went out of the land of Egypt. He heard a tongue that he did not know. He turned the burdens away from his back. His hands had been a slave to baskets. You called upon me in tribulation, and I freed you. I heard you within the hidden tempest. I tested you with waters of contradiction. My people, listen, and I will call you to testify. If, O Israel, you will pay heed to me, then there will be no new God among you, nor will you adore a foreign god. For I am the Lord your God, who led you out of the land of Egypt. Widen your mouth, and I will fill it. But my people did not hear my voice, and Israel was not attentive to me. And so, I sent them away, according to the desires of their heart. They will go forth according to their own inventions. If my people had heard me, if Israel had walked in my ways, I would have humbled their enemies, as if it were nothing, and I would have sent my hand upon those who troubled them. The enemies of the Lord have lied to him, and their time will come, in every age. And he fed them from the fat of the grain, and he saturated them with honey from the rock.